Welcome to the Odyssey. So, another episode of Sketch Game is fresh out the oven. In this episode, we'll be drawing Dimash as a caricature and also Blue Diva as they are rocking out to a new song, which I actually would really love to see. I want to see them duets together so bad. And I know there was a couple of performances they did together, or not, well, a couple of performances that Dimash, I should say, did of the Diva dance. But I would really love for them to sing together, because I'm sure that the Blue Diva would, whoever voiced the Blue Diva would love to do that, because she was an excellent singer also. So this is the final piece of the little mini series I did that included the Diva and Dimash also. And there's also another picture I did of Dimash also that will be a realistic piece of him as well. So look forward to those other two pictures at the end of the video here. So this is gonna look a little rough as I'm drawing it, but trust me, as I get more into the video, it's gonna look a whole lot better. Hopefully the thumbnail will actually prove that, but at this moment I was trying to get a feel of the caricature and see how I could get it to look more like him while still having that caricature feel also. And this is actually a real picture of him that I found on Pinterest. He was doing this goofy expression, and he wasn't playing the piano like how I'm gonna have him doing in this picture. He was kind of just lounging somewhere on a couch doing this random expression, so I thought I had to do it. And as I was doing this, I was kind of figure out the best way to maximize that expression and give it more of that caricature feel, because the beauty with caricatures, you really have a chance to have more fun with the expression than what may be available with the realism aspect of it. And I love doing caricatures a lot. I want to get to the point where I could make one in about 10 to 15 minutes. Like if I was at a convention somewhere, like a Comic-Con, and someone wanted a caricature, I want to be able to get to that point where I could just look at them, or maybe a picture of them, and just draw it within 10 to 15 minutes. This whole picture honestly took me a couple hours, because I was really struggling with trying to figure out how to get Dimash with the way I wanted it to and still match his look. And I started putting in the shading here. The nose was giving me a little issue, in the mouth as well, but I go back to those eventually once I figure out how I wanted to get the body in there. So I gave him more of a bigger head. I kind of like doing that with my caricatures. I kind of like giving them real big heads with smaller bodies. And I kind of just gave him these, I put his legs in the background, almost like, what's it called? It was almost along the lines of Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss in general, and almost a Fairly Odd Parents twist too to it. So I was kind of just doing that and thought, why not? You know, he's really getting into it, so his legs are up in the air and he's just jamming out on the piano. And I wanted to make the piano really wacky too. I mean, that was the point of this whole picture, to make it just super wacky and have a total ball while doing it. I decided just to go for, when I do my drawings for the most part, I just go with the 0.5 lead, or is it 0.5? I forget. One of the two. I'm pretty sure it's a 0.5. I don't have the pencil on me right now to double check, but that's usually what I go for. I really like going for that really nice thin layer before I really start to add on the ink afterwards, and then coloring of it as well too. I'm also using the sketchbook where it's by Nicole from AC Moore. I think the brand is called Premiere by Nicole, something like that. Really nice brand. I really enjoy it. The only issue with this type of sketchbook is, though, it's only really good for your basic penciling and slight inking. Nothing really too thick, otherwise it's going to bleed through the paper. And I go into this later on too, with a video I'm gonna have in the future that talks about the matte finishing spray that keeps the lead from smudging, because I'm drawing this in one of the ringed sketchbooks. So because of that, the pages tend to move around a lot more than what they would in a regular book sketchbook, one of the ones with the actual spine in it. So because of that, I was losing some of the details to a lot of my sketches, and I realized I had to get one of those ones to do that. But unfortunately, there are some issues with that because of the type of paper that's in the sketchbook, for those who may want to look into the sketchbooks. So if you just want to make it just a sketchbook like I was mainly doing for this one, just to work on your penciling and shading, definitely a good sketchbook to get, but I would honestly recommend getting the spine ones, not the hardback spine ones, not the ringed ones, because you run into that issue. And if you spray it with the matte finishing, it's going to give it a nice touch, but you want to be careful that you're not using any inking or coloring it per se, because it's going to take away that richness of the color, unless you maybe do it afterwards. I haven't tried it afterwards. It may work better, I don't know, but that's what I've learned so far with using the matte finishing. So I finished Dimash for the most part here. I'm going to come back and work on him a little bit later too, but at this point I wanted to go over to the Blue Diva. And I gotta admit, this is my favorite version of the Blue Diva that I've drawn. I didn't really favor the realistic one I did in the picture you'll see later on, but this one I liked a whole lot more, and I felt like I had more reign to draw her in a way that I like doing more so, because I like realism, but when it comes to drawing in general, I love doing cartooning more than anything. And I really wanted to give her some big thick lips and give her an expression like she's really soothing the audience with a nice opening or maybe closing solo as Dimash is just zoning out on the keyboard. I've heard Dimash can play instruments. I don't know if he can play the keyboard, but I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm sure the more veteran Dimash fans will be able to enlighten me on that. To let me know if he does play the piano, because I've been told that he does play multiple instruments, so, which I would too if I was more so into music than writing and drawing like I used to be. I used to love playing the drums and violin. I never got really good with playing the drums, but I was pretty decent with the violin when I went to elementary school. So drawing her head was really fun. Getting in the headpiece that she had and doing the tentacles or tendrils, whatever, and doing the musical notes was fun too. Eventually I'm going to draw a piece where the notes actually do make a certain type of song. I remember some person actually asked me that when I drew these notes, and they were asking me, is that actually a song you did there? I was like, no, I just put some random notes. So honestly, the notes I wrote probably don't look good at all for those who are music enthusiasts who know what each note could be and all that. I'm sorry. So for here too, I wanted to really make the keyboard really go wild and just kind of float and twist all over the place, and just have a ball with it. Make it take a lot of the not a huge bit of the piece, but a nice little bit of it. So honestly, that way, if the Blue Diva wanted to join in on the piano with Dimash for their own like epic duet together on top of the singing, she could. So I wanted to add that piece in there too. And honestly, if I had the patience to animate, that's what I would have done too. I would have made it so they both could. I would have made like a short, at least like 30-second piece where they're both singing together. You know, take those voice clips from their performances and just add them playing the piano, and they smile at each other, and then they just really jam out as the keyboard is all moving and super lively, like 1930s style in those cartoons where pretty much everything was alive and just moved with this kind of wavy feel to it. I'm trying to get better with my overall inking where it's a little bit cleaner. I honestly messed up a little bit here with the legs where I didn't get to keep the gap, if I remember correctly, like I wanted to. Yeah, I messed it up right there. So his legs a little bit closer together than what I wanted. So they may not look exactly much like legs anymore. It's not, at least not as much as I wanted them to, but eh. And this is where I wanted to really get into the inking. I want to work on more inking styles in the future to find out better and crisper ways to have the inking process go. And I'm kind of sad that once I did the matte finishing for this picture, I lost a lot of the richness that I did for this, but it still looks nice. It just has a fade to it that I really didn't want to have, but it's whatever at this point. Regardless of that, you guys will get to see the picture of it before I did the matte finishing, so you'll always have that available. And something that I've always learned too, for those who want to get into drawing or those who are drawing currently and are kind of new to it, something you want to do in the future, before you actually start coloring something, if you're not really sure about what colors you want to use, or if you feel like making multiple ones are better, and if you haven't really delved in the digital realm of drawing yet, like I haven't gotten a chance to because I need the right equipment for it, what you want to do is you want to get a printer, or more so a printer slash scanner, so one that has both capabilities to it. And most printers do have that now. Most printers come with a scanner. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you scan in all of your pictures, or at least get a good digital camera and take a picture of it right before you ink it and right before you color it. So that way you have all three versions of it. So that way, say someone favored the penciled version of it first, because a lot of people, honestly, each version, each level is great in its own way. A lot of times, most people honestly prefer the penciled version over the inking and all that, because it just has a nice clean look to it, or sometimes messy look to it that just is eye candy because it's before it was finished. And honestly, I can agree with that. Each level is so beautiful in its own way. So that's what you want to do, and that's what I'm going to start doing myself. I haven't done it just yet, but with these videos, I kind of preserve it in a way, and I'm pretty happy about that. But that's something I recommend any artist to do. You want to take pictures of each level and keep them. And especially if you want to get into freelance artwork where you sell your artwork, or even if you just want to give it away to people, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you have each level of it. And make copies, so that way, you know, maybe you keep the originals and you give the copies away to people, or maybe someone commissioned the original, so you give them original, and that way you still have a copy of what you drew to yourself at least too. And always make sure you add a signature to it, so that way it's still really special to you. And I know one thing, giving away the originals is going to be hard for me, but at least if I have a copy of it, whether it's from the videos I do here or taking a picture of it, I still feel great about it. And I know a lot of artists deal with that. I did an interview of a couple artists on my channel here. They're in podcast form, and we talked about that. And it's just one of the things that artists deal with, is the kind of the sadness of giving away an original artwork that they did. You know, we put all this work into it, and we're happy that people love it enough to have a copy of it, or at least have the original copy, either way. And it's like, yo, man, I really wish I could keep it. But it's the life of an artist, and we find our ways to make do. I gotta admit, when I inked her mouth here, I was like, man, it looked a little weird to me for a minute there, but I got used to it, and I started to like it a whole lot. When I really got to inking her face, I gotta admit, I loved drawing the Blue Diva more than Dimash, but both were really fun. I had more fun drawing the Blue Diva because she was a little easier to draw. So that's why it was a lot more fun drawing her, because once I did it, you saw that I didn't really have to erase much of anything with the Blue Diva. But with Dimash, it took me a while to find the right way I wanted him to look, because with characters it's really hard to, depending on which style you're doing for the caricature, it's really hard to find that look where it captures him. And honestly, this week I'm going to be working on doing a caricature of the Rampage movie. So I'm going to be drawing Dwayne Johnson along with the white albino ape George. And I've drawn The Rock a couple of times before. This will be my third time drawing him, if I remember correctly. And the first time I drew him was a caricature, and it was easy. But that one, I didn't do it like, I copied a picture of a caricature of The Rock already and did it that way. That was the only time I really ever did it of The Rock. The second time was my own version, where I just looked at a regular picture of him and drew a caricature of him. That is tricky, but just drawing a caricature that I just looked at was easy. But I've only done that a couple of times. Most of my characters I've done, I've looked at a regular picture of someone and just did a caricature off the top of my head. But I think that's more fun because you have more free reign. But even if you look at a caricature and use it as reference and figure out what parts to exaggerate without losing that look of the person you're caricature, that is what makes it tricky, but also makes it fun. And of course, it's trial and error too. The keyboard was really nice. I had a blast drawing that, and could you imagine if a keyboard like that actually existed? I'd imagine like in the future someone would incorporate something like that, because I know there are keyboards out there that are flat that you could like lay on the floor and actually play with. Of course, it's not as good as an actual legit piano, but it's still pretty cool. So I'm coming to the finishing touches of this part of the video where I ink it, and I actually forgot that I didn't get a chance to record doing the coloring, because at this point when I did this at work and I just wanted to finish it in one part, so I did the inking off camera, because like I said, with that also I ran out of space on my camera too, and I did this at work, so I just wanted to finish it that one day and have it done. So, and plus I didn't really do that much coloring anyway with this piece. I wanted to do the similar coloring scheme that I did with the SpongeBob video, where it was just coloring the outlines and kind of have it with that nice little tone there too. So the coloring part is going to come up here, and oh wait, oh okay. My bad. I guess I did have time to color it. I must have been thinking of another picture I did. Oh well. So for Dimash, I decided to just do a regular color. The hoodie in this picture was white, so I just decided to make it yellow for some reason. I just picked a color and just ran with it. I decided to just go along the lines and do it that way and make a nice little glow in the outline. And I thought that I really liked it. I kind of wanted to add some red to him too, but I didn't think it until after I filmed the video. I thought that's fine as it is. So then I did blue for the Blue Diva, of course, obviously. It was really nice. These color pencils, I don't know the brand of them. I got them from a friend for as my wedding gift, and he's a fellow artist as well. So he, as soon as he gave it to me, it was actually a really early wedding gift before I actually married my wife, obviously. And well, yeah, I already said that, but he gave me this huge case. And my wife was like, yeah, I know you're happy. And I was like, yeah. So this is the final piece. I colored the piano as well. This is the realistic piece I did of Dimash. And that was the first one I did of Dimash, actually. I was really excited to get that one done. I think I captured that one really well. And this one is the first one I did of Dimash and the Blue Diva. Those are the two realistic pieces I did. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know of any future art you'd like to see from me in the future. So until the wind hits our sails yet again, guys, I had a blast doing these pictures, and I hope you enjoyed seeing them. Later days.